Hello and welcome. It's Frances here. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I bid thee welcome. There is a subscribe button below if you want to help support this channel by subscribing, and also a bell to be notified when I upload more content. So I'm coming to you from Ghana country. As such, I acknowledge the Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains as being the traditional custodians of this land. So in this video, I just want to talk a little bit about our upcoming new moon, which will be in the astrological sign of Taurus. It'll be towards the end, so it'll be around about 28 degrees, 25 minutes of Taurus. And here in Adelaide, it will be taking place at 1:23 a.m. So that's Australian Central Standard Time, and on the 20th of May. This means it will be actually on the 19th, depending on where you are, but it will be here on the 20th of May in Adelaide. So Taurus is a fixed earth sign. So to start off with, look to see what house Taurus is in your natal chart in order to get a bit of an idea as to the focus of this month, and in particular this new moon. And when the moon is exalted in Taurus, this is actually a very favorable position. And it's such because it is very changeable. The moon's very changeable. And when it goes into a fixed sign such as Taurus, it's able to gain some stability, in particular over the emotions, because the moon's linked with our emotions. And also anything else that will need to be taken care of in its own time as Taurus slows things down as it plods along. So it's all about patience, being able to enjoy any given moment with that Taurian energy, which makes it all very comfortable. So when there's a new moon, this means that the sun and moon are conjunct, right next to each other, but just sort of overshadowing the new moon on the 19th or 20th is what's happening tomorrow, and that's when Jupiter moves into Taurus. So this is a big transition. Some astrologers are saying it's one of the biggest for the year. And Jupiter transition happens every 12 years. It's very reliable in its orbit. And it will stay here for a year. It stays in each sign for a year. So to see how this transit may be affecting you, look back to what happened 12 years ago when Taurus, and also what house Taurus was in your chart, as you could very well get a bit of an echo of these things this month. Also consider what things you needed to walk away from during the last lunar eclipse, as now there is a door opener to the new opportunities, especially in relation to your values, because this is one of the underlying aspects of Taurus, all about values. What are your top values? Even the top 3 or the top 5? Do you value, say, nature over career success? Or is forging your way to the top of a firm or whatever industry you're in extremely important to you, that you're prepared to sacrifice other things for it? Is owning your own house very important, or traveling, or spending quality time with your family, going to the gym, being healthy, or other things? Just now is a good time to sort of look at our values. Jupiter itself is known as the Great Benefic, expanding everything it touches. So this makes it a very sort of successful planet. It's all about recognition, expanding things to a bigger world. But it also can expand problems and issues that have not been dealt with as well. With Jupiter being in Taurus, this is going to be bringing our attention, our focus back to connecting to the earth, with nature. It's about setting foundations. It's about land and agriculture and farming practices, even the processing of food. As I said, it's about more longer term goals as well. So you may be wanting to really consider where your food is coming from. What choices do you have when it comes to food? What are you actually feeding your body or fueling your body? Taurus is also about finances and money, as it's being ruled by Venus. Venus is its ruling planet. And Venus just happens to be in Cancer at the moment, which is ruled by the moon. And the moon, of course, is in Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, which is in Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. So we've got this sort of this infinity symbol happening, where beginnings are connected with endings, which are connected with beginnings, and we're going over and over again. And as such, this could actually be interpreted to a lot of ideas spinning, but nothing's making any traction. So we might need to dig our heels in for a moment to stop everything, stop your world from spinning, in order to gain a little bit more sense and clarity. Let go of the things that no longer mean anything to you, and then allow things to start happening again. Doing what you need to do in order to let something go, but also in order to finish the work, because Taurus can also sort of heighten, so she would Jupiter there, our procrastination. And as I said, Jupiter expands things. So it could be inflating money, it could be relating to banking, currency, wealth, but also interest rates and inflation. So there's not necessarily a warning, but just sort of like a heads up. Maybe not a good time, or think things through thoroughly if you are going to just sign, take out a mortgage or a business loan or something huge. Just make sure that you've looked at all avenues properly, and even have a little bit of a nest egg just in case. So when Jupiter is in Taurus, so this is one of the big points this year, it will be squared with Pluto on the 17th, a couple of days away. And when we're looking at something like Pluto, it's important to go back to what astrologers called the seed point. This is the initial conjunction between Pluto and Neptune, and that was in March 2020. At that time, Jupiter was in Capricorn, which is all about expanding governmental power. And on the 22nd of March, Saturn, which is a planet ruling limitations, transited into Aquarius, which is about freedom, and we all went into lockdown. So now we've got the square between Jupiter and Pluto. So this is 90 degrees. And it's asking us to sort of evaluate how that process went. As I mentioned, Jupiter in Taurus is this aspect of finances. Pluto is also connected about riches, being associated with the underworld, being buried treasure. But it can also, so there's a bit of a shadow side to Pluto, so it can actually relate to debt, taxes. And with Jupiter being thrown into the works, it's all about expanding that potential, possibly even a challenge to economics. So again, to me, this is highlighting, just be wary or mindful, read the contract thoroughly. If you're about to take out big loans, so watch your money, look what you're spending, watch what you're spending it on. Is it really necessary? And maybe put your money into wiser investments. So if you're buying clothes, are you buying fast fashion, or are you buying a classic piece that will last the test of time? So these are just some sort of heads up things that are coming to the forefront at the moment. During this new moon, we're going to have 5 planets in Taurus, which so we've got a lot of this heavy Taurian energy. So we've got the sun and the moon, Jupiter, as I've just mentioned, There's also Mercury, which has moved out of retrograde, just moved out of retrograde, and Uranus, as well as the North Node, which is all about our future direction. And so this is resulting in this massive emphasis on Taurus, which Taurus is at building for the long term. And added to this, Saturn and Mercury. Between them, we have Uranus, which is all about new ideas, and that is actually coming as a midpoint between Mercury, the planet that goes communication, and the Sun and Moon conjunction. So if all this energy is spinning a little bit too much for you, it's important to remain grounded. Get out into nature whenever you can. Go for a walk in the park, on the beach, take your shoes off, walk around the park, backyard, go for a walk, even if it's around your neighborhood. If you're not able to do that, download a picture of a natural scene and use it in your meditations. And try and connect with nature as much as you can, even opening up a window, allowing fresh air to breathe in. There is another sort of important, I suppose it's very important, it's actually quite rare thing that's happening around this new moon, and that is there will be a fixed, say a grand fixed square or a grand fixed cross. And this is because this cross is in all the fixed signs, again, adding to the sort of grounding foundational energy of this new moon. It could also result in things being a little bit retractable, a viewpoint where you may feel you're locking horns. And it's quite interesting because we've got Jupiter 0 degrees of Taurus, which is conjunct with the North Node, our future direction, which is 2 degrees of Taurus. We've got Pluto in retrograde at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and it's retrograding back into Capricorn. Mars will be 0 degrees of Leo a few days after the new moon. So Mars could be sort of being through some sort of crusader attitudes, fighting for beliefs, that sort of thing. And we also have South Node in Scorpio at 2 degrees. And so this is the eclipse point from November last year. So Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, and Scorpio are all of the fixed signs. And what's interesting is that we've also got these 3 planets, Jupiter, Pluto, and that's retrograde, and Mars, all at this initiating 0 degree point. So again, your natal chart, look to see the house placements of these 4 points, as they could very well also be activated and engaged during this new moon. And some astrologers are saying that these energies will be felt even up to the 23rd of May. So I think that is about it that I want to talk about in relation to this new moon. So there's quite a bit of Taurian energy happening. Good to be grounded, but don't allow it to take over, or you may find yourself procrastinating, and that's the other side of the coin, so to speak. So do take care. Sit grounding, getting out of nature as much as you can. It's always beneficial. And I'll see you again. Bless it.